California, the land of earthquakes, movie stars, and traffic that qualifies as an endurance sport. But beyond the cliches and Instagram sunsets lies a state so geographically strange, diverse, and unpredictable that even lifelong Californians don't know half of what's under their feet. Did you know that Los Angeles is slowly moving toward San Francisco? Or that parts of the desert still hide seashells from when this place was underwater? Or that glowing beaches, underground rivers, and accidental lakes all exist here, sometimes within a few hours' drive of each other? In this video, we're diving into 50 incredible California facts you probably never knew. From the hidden volcanoes and record-breaking forests to the ghost towns, shifting landscapes, and just plain weird corners of the Golden State. So sit back, relax, and let's take a slow, scenic drive through the most geographically dramatic state in America. And hey, if you enjoy this kind of journey, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment about which part of California surprises you most. Now buckle up, because the ground here really does move. Fact 50. California is slowly moving north. California isn't as still as it looks. The entire western side of the state, sitting on the Pacific Plate, is sliding northward toward Alaska at about 2 inches per year. It's all thanks to the San Andreas Fault, a 750-mile-long crack in the Earth's crust that marks the boundary between two massive tectonic plates. Over millions of years, Los Angeles and San Francisco are destined to become next-door neighbors, geologically speaking at least. The good news? You don't need to panic. The bad news? Nature already set the moving date. Fact 49. Much of California was built by volcanoes. From the Cascades to the Mojave, California owes its rugged beauty to a violent volcanic past. The Sierra Nevada formed from molten rock, pushed skyward by subduction forces, while Mount Shasta and Lassen Peak are part of the same fiery system still alive today. Ancient eruptions laid the foundation for fertile farmland, mountain lakes, and even entire valleys. So when you're skiing at Mammoth or sipping wine in Napa, you're standing on cooled lava, proof that good things can come from geological chaos, given a few million years and the right marketing. Fact 48. The lowest and highest points in the US are both in California. No other state can brag about containing both extremes of American elevation. Mount Whitney at 14,505 feet is the highest peak in the lower 48 states. Just 85 miles southeast lies Badwater Basin in Death Valley, which sits 282 feet below sea level, the lowest point in North America. You can drive from one to the other in half a day if you enjoy testing your car's air conditioning and oxygen levels in the same trip. It's the only place on Earth where you can sunburn and frostbite yourself on the same weekend. Fact 47. California's ocean glows at night. On warm summer evenings, waves along Southern California's coast can light up with brilliant blue sparks. The cause isn't magic. It's millions of tiny bioluminescent plankton reacting to movement in the water. When waves crash or fish dart by, the microorganisms flash in defense, creating an eerie electric glow that looks like something from science fiction. It happens rarely, often after plankton blooms or red tides, but when it does, beaches from San Diego to Malibu fill with late-night crowds staring into the neon surf. Nature, it turns out, has a nightlife too. Fact 46. The Mojave Desert was once an ocean floor. It's hard to imagine now, but the Mojave Desert, that endless expanse of dust and Joshua trees, was once covered by a shallow sea. Millions of years ago, waves rolled across what's now the California-Nevada border, leaving behind layers of limestone and fossilized coral. As the land rose and the water retreated, the seabed became sand dunes. The proof is scattered across the desert: ancient shells, marine fossils, and coral fragments hiding among the rocks. The Mojave may look lifeless today, but it's really just the world's most dramatic example of low tide. Fact 45. Yosemite Valley was carved by ice. Yosemite's granite cliffs didn't just appear, they were sculpted by glaciers. Over hundreds of thousands of years, slow-moving rivers of ice gouged the Sierra Nevada, grinding away rock and leaving behind the dramatic walls of El Capitan and Half Dome. When the ice melted, it filled the valley with waterfalls and mirror-like lakes. Today, Yosemite feels timeless, but its entire shape is the result of relentless movement and erosion. Nature didn't build it overnight. It just had patience and no deadlines. Fact 44. Northern California hides underground rivers. Beneath the surface of the state's volcanic north, entire rivers vanish underground, flowing silently through ancient lava tubes. These subterranean waterways, formed when molten lava hardened on top while continuing to flow below, still carry snowmelt through the dark. Some reemerge miles away as cold springs or hidden waterfalls. Lava beds. National Monument is full of these hollow tunnels where explorers can walk where rivers once roared. It's one of those places that makes you realize how much of California's geography exists out of sight. A whole landscape under the landscape. Fact 43. Lake Tahoe could swallow the Empire State Building. Lake Tahoe is so deep it could easily hide the Empire State Building with room to spare. At 1,645 feet, it's the second deepest lake in the United States, and its water is so clear that objects can be seen more than 70 feet below the surface. Straddling the border of California and Nevada, Tahoe is a leftover of ancient glaciers that dug a basin and filled it with meltwater. The combination of depth, clarity, and cold gives it an almost surreal blue color, like a mirror designed by perfectionists. Fact 42. The Salton Sea was created by accident. In 1905, engineers tried to divert the Colorado River to irrigate California's desert farmland. It didn't go as planned. The river broke through its banks, flooding the Salton Basin for nearly 2 years and creating the Salton Sea, the state's largest lake, entirely by mistake. At first, it was a resort paradise full of yachts and palm trees. But as the water evaporated, salinity rose, fish died, and the beaches turned into salty dust. Today, the Salton Sea looks more like a post-apocalyptic warning sign than a vacation spot. Fact 41. California's redwoods are the tallest trees on Earth. In Northern California's coastal fog belt, redwoods stretch skyward for over 370 feet, taller than the Statue of Liberty. Some are over 2,000 years old, silently growing while civilizations have come and gone. Their size isn't just luck. The ocean fog provides constant moisture even when rain is scarce. Walking through a redwood grove feels like stepping into another world, quiet, green, and impossibly vertical. These trees have survived fires, logging, and time itself. In California, even the forests refuse to think small. Fact 40. California gets thousands of earthquakes every year. The ground in California is almost never still. The state experiences around 10,000 earthquakes annually, most too small to notice, others strong enough to send every local running for the nearest doorway. The infamous San Andreas Fault steals the spotlight, but there are hundreds of smaller faults quietly shifting underfoot at all times. Scientists call this normal seismic activity. Californians call it Tuesday. The silver lining? These constant tremors release pressure, which helps prevent even bigger quakes. So every time your coffee ripples, just tell yourself, that's the Earth doing maintenance. Fact 39. Death Valley is the hottest place on Earth. In the summer of 1913, Death Valley reached 134 degrees Fahrenheit, the hottest temperature ever recorded on the planet. It's so hot that shoes can melt on the asphalt, and hikers have been known to bake cookies on their dashboards. Yet this hellish landscape isn't lifeless. Pupfish swim in isolated pools, desert wildflowers bloom after rare rainstorms, and tourists line up for selfies beside a sign reminding them they're below sea level. For a place called Death Valley, it's surprisingly full of life. It just prefers everything to be well done. Fact 38. Truckee is the snowiest town in California. Forget Tahoe or Mammoth. The town of Truckee regularly buries everything under record-breaking snow. Some winters bring over 200 inches, turning streets into tunnels and roofs into igloos. Locals own more snow shovels than furniture, and Snow Day is basically the town's 5th season. But all that snow has a payoff. When it melts, it feeds the rivers and reservoirs that keep much of California hydrated through the dry months. So while the rest of the state complains about rain, Truckee quietly saves everyone's water supply, one blizzard at a time. Fact 37. California has over 800 miles of coastline, stretching from the foggy cliffs of Crescent City to the sunny coves of San Diego. California's coastline runs for about 840 miles, and no two parts look the same. In the north, redwoods lean over rocky shores. In the south, palm trees and surfers fight for beach space. The Pacific Coast Highway ties it all together, winding along the edge of the continent like a scenic roller coaster. California's entire identity, the culture, the climate, even the attitude, owes something to this long, restless border between land and sea. Fact 36. The gold rush reshaped California's geography. When gold was discovered in 1848, fortune hunters didn't just change California's history, they literally changed the land. Miners used high-pressure hoses to blast apart hillsides, sending rivers of mud and silt downstream. Whole valleys were buried, river courses shifted, and mountains were scarred by erosion that's still visible today. The technique was so destructive it was eventually banned by the courts, making it one of the first major environmental rulings in U.S. history. California's golden age left a silver lining and a permanently rearranged landscape. Fact 35. Joshua Tree National Park is a desert full of trees that aren't trees. Those twisted, spiky trees in Joshua Tree National Park aren't actually trees at all. They're giant yuccas, a species of desert plant that grows nowhere else in such abundance. The park sits where two deserts meet, the Mojave and the Colorado, creating one of the most bizarre landscapes on Earth. The rock formations look sculpted by aliens, and the sunsets glow in shades of red and gold that seem almost unreal. It's dry, desolate, and hauntingly beautiful, proof that even the middle of nowhere can be unforgettable. Fact 34. Big Sur's coastline is constantly falling into the ocean. Big Sur might be one of the most beautiful drives in America, but it's also one of the most unstable. The cliffs here are crumbling a few inches at a time, and massive landslides regularly send pieces of Highway 1 tumbling into the Pacific. Crews rebuild it again and again, knowing it's only temporary. The mix of fog, sea spray, and gravity is relentless. But that's what makes Big Sur so dramatic. It's a place that's always changing, forever balancing on the edge between land and sea. Fact 33. Mono Lake looks like it belongs on another planet. Mono Lake in the eastern Sierra Nevada is one of the oldest lakes in North America, and also one of the strangest. Its water is 3 times saltier than the ocean, and instead of fish, it's filled with tiny brine shrimp and alkali flies that feed millions of migrating birds. The lake's eerie tufa towers, its limestone formations that rise from the water like stone spires, form when freshwater springs mix with the salty lake. The result is a surreal landscape that feels like Earth, but barely. Fact 32. Catalina Island has wild buffalo. If you visit Catalina Island, you might see something that doesn't quite fit the beach vibe. A herd of massive buffalo grazing on the hills. They were brought over in the 1920s by a movie crew filming a western and never taken back. Decades later, their descendants still roam freely across the island's rugged interior. Locals have learned to coexist with them, cautiously. Catalina now manages the herd to prevent overgrazing, ensuring these accidental residents stay part of the island's story. Only in California could wildlife be the result of bad film logistics. Fact 31. Lassen Peak is America's most recently active volcano outside Alaska. Lassen Peak in Northern California last erupted in 1915, spewing ash 30,000 feet into the sky and covering nearby towns in cinders. The eruption destroyed forests, melted snowfields, and created boiling mud pots that still hiss today. It was the first volcano in the continental U.S. to erupt in the 20th century, and it's still quietly alive. Part of the same volcanic chain as Mount St. Helens. You can hike to its summit, where steam vents still whisper reminders that California's fire beneath the surface never really went out. Fact 30. Trona is the town that never gives up. In the middle of the desert, surrounded by cracked salt flats and chemical plants, sits Trona, a mining town that feels like it was built on Mars. The ground sinks occasionally, the air smells faintly of sulfur, and summer temperatures soar past 110 degrees. Yet somehow people still live here. The town was founded for its soda ash mines, and its high school football team plays on a dirt field because grass simply won't grow. Trona isn't pretty, but it's proof that Californians can adapt to almost anything, even life on another planet. Fact 29. San Francisco was built on buried ships. When the gold rush hit in 1849, hundreds of ships sailed into San Francisco Bay, and most were abandoned as crews ran off to find gold. Rather than remove them, developers built right over them. Beneath the modern financial district lies a forest of buried hulls, some still intact, others filled with concrete and turned into building foundations. Archaeologists occasionally uncover them during construction, finding bottles, tools, and even coins left behind by fortune seekers. San Francisco's skyline may be futuristic, but its foundations are literally maritime history. Fact 28. California's lost lake came back from the dead. Tulare Lake, once the largest freshwater lake west of the Mississippi, completely vanished a century ago when its rivers were diverted for farmland. But in 2023, after months of relentless storms, the lake unexpectedly returned, flooding farms, highways, and entire towns. Locals watched as the Ghost Lake reclaimed its ancient basin, reminding everyone that water has a very good memory. It's since begun shrinking again, but the message is clear. California's geography is temporary, and nature is always waiting for a rematch. Fact 27. The famous tunnel tree of California finally fell. For over a century, tourists drove through a giant sequoia in Calaveras Big Trees State Park, a tree so massive it was carved into a tunnel just for photographs. Then, in 2017, a powerful storm toppled it for good. The fall crushed part of the trail but left the tree itself mostly intact, lying like a massive wooden bridge across the forest floor. Park rangers chose to leave it where it fell, allowing nature to reclaim it. Even in death, the tunnel tree remains an icon, a monument to California's tendency to overdo everything, even trees. Fact 26. Santa Barbara lives in eternal spring. Tucked between the Pacific Ocean and the Santa Ynez Mountains, Santa Barbara enjoys one of the most stable and pleasant climates in the world. It rarely gets hotter than 80 or colder than 60. The ocean breeze keeps the air crisp, and the Yitzhak hillsides are dotted with palm trees and red tile roofs. Locals call it the American Riviera. Everyone else calls it expensive. With its perfect weather and coastal charm, Santa Barbara feels like a place the rest of California wishes it could be. If only it could afford the rent. Fact 25. San Francisco's fog has a name. It's called Carl. Yes, Carl the Fog. The city's dense, chilly fog rolls in like clockwork almost every summer afternoon, swallowing the Golden Gate Bridge and turning the skyline into a ghostly blur. Locals even gave it a social media presence, complete with sarcastic posts about tourists freezing in July. Carl exists because of the perfect collision between cold Pacific air and hot inland valleys. Nature's version of air conditioning. It's moody, it's mysterious, and it's probably the only weather pattern in the world with a verified Instagram account. Fact 24. Los Angeles is built on a maze of earthquake faults. Beneath Los Angeles lies a tangled web of more than 100 active faults, some running directly under freeways and neighborhoods. The entire city sits on what scientists call a complex deformation zone, which sounds less like a geological term and more like a warning label. Yet somehow the city continues to build upward, from skyscrapers to subway tunnels, as if daring the ground to move. Engineers have learned to design buildings that sway like palm trees during tremors. In LA, even the architecture has rhythm. Fact 23. The Los Angeles River sometimes flows backward. Most of the time, the Los Angeles River is little more than a concrete trickle, a drainage channel famous mainly for car chases in movies. But during the powerful winter storms, the tides can push ocean water upstream, making the river temporarily flow backward. It's a bizarre sight, seeing the river defy gravity and common sense. Originally, it was a real river that wandered freely across the valley before being trapped in concrete after catastrophic floods. Today, the city is trying to bring it back to life, one rehabilitated stretch at a time. Fact 22. Mount Shasta glows with mystery. Towering over Northern California, Mount Shasta isn't just a volcano, it's a magnet for myth. Some say it's home to hidden alien civilizations. Others claim ancient tunnels beneath it lead to a lost city called Lemuria. What's undeniable is its beauty. A snow-capped, symmetrical peak that dominates the skyline for hundreds of miles. On clear mornings, it seems to glow from within, reflecting the sunrise like a beacon. Whether you believe the stories or not, there's something undeniably otherworldly about it. Maybe that's why so many people keep looking up. Fact 21. The Mammoth Lakes region is California's geothermal playground. In the High Sierra near the town of Mammoth Lakes, steaming hot springs bubble out of the ground, even in the middle of winter. The region sits atop a volcanic caldera, a massive collapsed crater, where heat from underground magma warms the water. Locals and travelers soak in these natural tubs while surrounded by snow and mountains, an experience that feels more Scandinavian than Californian. It's one of the few places where you can ski in the morning and take a natural hot bath by sunset. Fact 20. The Los Angeles River helped create Hollywood. Before Los Angeles was a global entertainment empire, it was a small farming town built along a wandering river. The Los Angeles River provided water to early settlers and drew film studios that needed open space and cheap land nearby. Those dusty fields became the birthplace of Hollywood, a place where directors once filmed next to orange groves and train tracks. Ironically, the river that sustained the city was later buried in concrete, while the industry it inspired flooded the world with dreams. The river may have dried up, but the drama never did. Fact 19. The Golden Gate Bridge isn't gold. Despite its name, the Golden Gate Bridge is painted in a shade called International Orange. The color was chosen because it stood out against the fog and complemented the surrounding hills. The name actually comes from the strait beneath it, the Golden Gate, which early explorers thought looked like a gateway to prosperity. When it opened in 1937, it was the longest suspension bridge in the world, and it still stands as one of California's most recognizable landmarks. So, no, it's not gold, but it's definitely priceless. Fact 18. Alcatraz was both a fortress and a garden. Long before it became the infamous island prison, Alcatraz served as a military fort guarding San Francisco Bay. Later, it became home to some of America's most notorious inmates, including Al Capone. What few people know is that even during its prison days, Alcatraz had vibrant flower gardens, planted and tended by inmates and officers' families. The cold water surrounding the island made escape nearly impossible, but the gardens thrived. Today, they're restored and blooming again, living proof that beauty can grow in even the harshest isolation. Fact 17. San Diego banned billboards to save its view. In 1972, San Diego decided it valued sunsets more than advertisements. The city banned most outdoor billboards to protect its ocean views, making it one of the few major U.S. cities where the skyline isn't cluttered with glowing signs. The result is a cleaner, calmer atmosphere where the Pacific is the real showstopper. The policy has lasted for over 50 years, giving San Diego its uniquely open horizon. It's a quiet rebellion against commercialization, and possibly the most Southern California thing imaginable. Fact 16. Lassen Peak erupted while people were picnicking nearby. When Lassen Peak blew its top in 1915, locals were close enough to watch. The eruption shot ash 30,000 feet into the air, melted glaciers, and sent boiling mud flows racing down the mountain. Yet tourists just a few miles away reportedly stayed to finish their lunches, treating the eruption like a live nature show. Today, the mountain still steams, and the area is part of Lassen Volcanic National Park, one of the few places on Earth where all 4 types of volcanoes can be found in one spot. Bring a camera and maybe an escape plan. Fact 15. California's Central Valley feeds the world. Stretching 450 miles through the heart of the state, the Central Valley grows about a quarter of America's food supply. Almonds, grapes, lettuce, tomatoes. If it's on your plate, there's a good chance it came from here. The soil is rich and flat, but the region's biggest challenge is water. Massive irrigation networks keep it alive, even as groundwater levels drop and the land slowly sinks. The valley is both a miracle and a warning, proof that you can turn a desert into a garden, but not forever. Fact 14. The General Sherman tree is the largest living thing on Earth. Deep in Sequoia National Park stands the General Sherman tree, a giant sequoia towering 275 feet high and over 36 feet wide at the base. By volume, it's the largest known living organism on the planet. It's over 2,000 years old, meaning it was already ancient when the Roman Empire was new. Walking beneath it feels humbling. The air grows still and the forest seems to hush around it. General Sherman isn't just a tree. It's time made visible, one ring at a time. Fact 13. California has a volcano that's practically brand new. Panum Crater near Mono Lake erupted only about 600 years ago, practically yesterday in geological terms. The eruption spewed pumice and obsidian, creating a miniature volcanic dome you can still hike around today. The lava cooled so quickly it turned into shiny black glass, still scattered across the landscape. Scientists study it to understand how volcanoes evolve, but to most visitors it just looks like a movie set for a science fiction film. It's a reminder that California's fiery past isn't entirely past. It's just between scenes. Fact 12. San Francisco was the first major city to ban plastic bags. In 2007, San Francisco became the first major U.S. city to ban plastic shopping bags, sparking a nationwide shift toward reusable ones. It wasn't just about litter. City officials wanted to reduce plastic in the Bay, where sea life often mistook it for food. Other cities soon followed, and now the movement has spread worldwide. Californians may love convenience, but they also love a good cause, especially one that comes with trendy tote bags. In San Francisco, even your groceries are expected to make a statement. Fact 11. California's hot springs are nature's luxury spas. Across the state, from the deserts to the mountains, steaming hot springs bubble up from deep underground. They're heated by ancient magma chambers and mineral-rich aquifers, creating natural pools that range from rustic to resort level. Places like Hot Creek and Travertine Springs let visitors soak while surrounded by snow-covered peaks. The kind of contrast only California can pull off. The water smells faintly of sulfur, but the views more than make up for it. It's the Earth's version of self-care, 100% organic, and always set to the perfect temperature. Fact 10. California is always in a drought, and technically, ask any Californian what the weather's like, and the answer will usually be beautiful, but we need rain. The truth is, the state's natural climate cycles between wet and dry extremes, so drought isn't an exception. It's the baseline. Every few years, a wet winter gives people hope. Then summer returns and the reservoirs shrink again. Wildfires follow and the cycle resets. Californians have learned to adapt with shorter showers, drought-tolerant lawns, and a healthy sense of humor about it all. In this state, water conservation isn't a slogan. It's a lifestyle. Fact 9. The Pacific Ocean is literally eating Malibu. The cliffs of Malibu may be home to celebrities, but the real star here is coastal erosion. The Pacific Ocean is slowly reclaiming beachfront property one wave at a time, undercutting foundations and collapsing staircases into the surf. Entire houses have slid into the sea, their decks turning into driftwood. Scientists say that by the end of the century, much of California's coast will look completely different. In Malibu, you can pay tens of millions for an ocean view. Or just wait a few years, and the ocean will come to you. Fact 8. The San Andreas Fault defines California itself. The San Andreas Fault runs like a scar down the length of California, marking the boundary where two enormous tectonic plates grind past each other. This shifting seam is why the state has such dramatic landscapes, from coastal mountains to deep valleys. Without it, there'd be no San Francisco Bay, no Los Angeles Basin, and probably no reason to make all those earthquake movies. It's destructive, creative, and unpredictable. The perfect metaphor for California. Every tremor is just a reminder that this place was never meant to sit still. Fact 7. Bodie is California's perfectly preserved ghost town. High in the Sierra Nevada, the town of Bodie looks frozen in time. Once a booming gold rush city of 10,000 people, it was abandoned almost overnight when the mines ran dry. Today, it sits in a state of arrested decay, buildings leaning in the wind, bar counters still lined with bottles, and desks covered in the same dust that fell a century ago. The state protects it as a historic park, keeping it just as it was left. Visiting Bodie feels like trespassing in the past. Quiet, eerie, and hauntingly intact. Fact 6. The Anza Borrego Desert blooms once every few years. Most of the year, Anza Borrego looks like a cracked, empty stretch of desert. But after a rare series of winter rains, it transforms into a super bloom. Millions of wildflowers carpeting the desert floor in neon pink, yellow, and purple. The transformation lasts only a few weeks before the heat returns and the colors vanish. People drive for hours to witness it, cameras in hand, knowing it might not happen again for a decade. It's California in a nutshell. Dramatic, fleeting, and always worth the trip. Fact 5. The Sutter Buttes are the world's smallest mountain range. North of Sacramento, a ring of volcanic peaks rises suddenly from the flat farmland. These are the Sutter Buttes, the smallest mountain range on Earth, only about 10 miles across. Once an active volcano, they now sit quietly surrounded by orchards and rice fields. Locals joke that they're California's leftovers, dramatic peaks that never got invited to join the Sierra Nevada. But the Buttes have their charm. Wildflowers in spring, hawks circling above, and views that stretch across the entire Central Valley. Small, yes, but mighty in personality. Fact 4. Point Conception is California's own Bermuda Triangle. Off the coast of Point Conception, where the cold waters of Northern California collide with the warm Southern California current, strange things happen. Compass readings falter, weather changes suddenly, and ships have vanished without explanation. Native Chumash people called it the Western Gate, believing it was where spirits passed into the next world. Today, sailors call it the Devil's Jaw for its unpredictable seas and jagged rocks. It's the meeting point of two oceans, two climates, and two moods. The wild border between calm and chaos. Fact 3. Soda Lake is a mirror in the desert. In the Carrizo Plain, far from any town or highway, lies Soda Lake, a vast white expanse that shimmers like glass under the sun. Most of the year, it's a dry salt flat, cracked and barren. But after heavy rains, it fills with shallow water, turning into a perfect mirror that reflects the sky. It's so salty that nothing can live in it, yet it supports an entire ecosystem of birds that stop here to feed. The lake appears and disappears like a mirage, nature's most patient magic trick. Fact 2. You can hike the San Andreas Fault. At Carrizo Plain National Monument, the San Andreas Fault is so visible you can actually walk along it. The Earth's crust there has split and shifted so dramatically that fences, roads, and even streams have been offset by dozens of feet. Standing in the rift feels surreal. One foot on the North American plate, the other on the Pacific plate, quite literally straddling continents. It's one of the few places where you can see tectonic motion frozen in place. A quiet reminder that California is built on borrowed time. Fact 1. California contains every major biome on Earth. From alpine glaciers to coastal rainforests, from scorching deserts to fog-shrouded cliffs, California contains nearly every biome found on the planet. The state's geography is so varied that scientists call it a world within a state. You can surf in the morning, hike a glacier by afternoon, and watch the sunset in a desert that same evening, all without leaving California. It's a place that contains multitudes, fire and ice, city and wilderness, chaos and calm. If the Earth ever needed a highlight reel, it would probably look a lot like this. Can you believe that one state, just one, contains nearly every biome on Earth? California isn't just a place. It's practically a condensed version of the entire planet, with fault lines, volcanoes, redwoods, deserts, and beaches, all crammed into one dramatic stretch of land that never stops moving. From underground rivers to glowing waves, from forests older than history to cities built on sunken ships. California is a reminder that geography isn't boring. It's alive, unpredictable, and sometimes a little ridiculous. So, how many of these facts did you already know? And which one surprised you the most? Let me know down in the comments. I read every single one of them. And if you enjoyed this journey through the Golden State, go ahead and give this video a like, subscribe for more, and join us again as we explore the strange, beautiful corners of our world. One fascinating fact at a time.